Welcome back, viewers. You joined ZEESHAN NAQVI, your host, and today I'm joined with the opposition leader of Sheffield City Council, Councillor Mohammed Shaffaq, alongside with him newly selected candidate of Nether Edge Ward in Sheffield, Javed Khan Sahab. We were speaking to Javed Khan and his ideas how he would improve his ward. Let's continue speaking to Javed, and then we'll swiftly move on to Shaffaq afterwards. I mean, you've got till May until before the elections. What are you doing to improve your party's image and hopefully wanting to change their mind to come back to vote Liberal Democrat? Do tell us.
Okay, well, we are canvassing, knocking on doors, and finding out people's opinion of what they think about us and other parties. And they are quite welcoming reception that we receive at the door. I mean, yes, there was issue nationally after 2010 when there was a student fee, which Nick made a pledge and did not deliver it. And he came on the TV, national TV, and apologized to the nation. And it takes courage to apologize. So I mean, people do understand that yes, the Nick has admitted his error, what he caused, and now
will that be sufficient for people to make their minds up locally? Would it be enough for them to convince them so that they come back to Liberal Democrat?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, one thing about the nation is that admitting your mistake, that is something in reality is quite a big thing. And once you admit your mistake, you apologize, and I think that's it. We should forget and move on. So coming back to the tuition fee, even after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, that's not going to get us anywhere. Today's time is the fee is £9,000, and that's the price of today. And Labour suggested at Miliband that if they come into power, they will put their fee around about £6,000-7,000. So we're not that far off. I mean, those days ago when they used to be £3,000 or £2,500. So I don't think that's issue anymore about the tuition fee. Also on national policies, people are quite happy on that. I mean, Shaffaq will explain to you on national policy. I don't have that much knowledge on national policy.
What problems does your ward particularly face? I mean, my question to you is what changes will you bring about? So what is
a local issue? Yeah, I'll just come to the local just before I finish my last point.
Okay.
I mean, a couple of you have favourite policies like tax threshold raised to £10,000, and that will raise year on year. So basically what we're saying that if somebody earns £10,000, you keep that £10,000, that won't be taxed.
Okay.
Under Labour, even if you earn £7,000, you will be taxed. And the other one's pupil premium. That's quite a favourite policy. That's additional funding for the schools, deprived pupils in school. So these kind of policies that we are introducing, people are very happy on those policies. Coming back to the local issues, I mean, local issues always, there are antisocial behaviour, drug-related crimes, parking, better funding for school, fields and parks. These are the local issues that we need to tackle and we are facing at the moment. So things is wait and see when I'm selected, when I'm in the council, what resources are there available to help the local people, then we can go on from there.
And finally, what made you change your mind from being a Labour Party member to Liberal Democrats Party and hence being a candidate for them?
I mean, that was back in 2008 when I was newly came into politics, and I've been doing my research as you interviewed me in Urdu other day, which I explained there. A Labour Party is totally, they say something else and they do something else. And as I say, that they taxing the poor people. That's what they're doing. They were involved in Iraq war, but I don't want to bring that issue up because that's quite old now. So there's no point talking over that now. So I mean, I believe that Liberal Democrats is the party that closely matches my ideals for the way a political party should be. I believe in the freedom of the individual, civil liberties, the power of community, working together, and a fairer deal for the most vulnerable in society.
Thank you very much for your time. Let's turn back to now to the opposition leader, Councillor Shaffaq. I believe it's your elections, your term for you to contest your elections as well, and you're obviously particularly based in the student area. How will you drive your
Well, I mean, it's no different from any other area. You know, students is still just, you know, they're not a single issue group anymore. You know, they never have been. They've got all their own opinions. Some people are interested in local issues. Some people are interested in national and international issues. For me, it's about actually being out there, being able to deal with any casework that comes in, but also to actually tell them what I stand for and what we are wanting to do. One of the big issues, a bit like similar to Javid, is that within my ward, the library, Broomhill, is actually closing. It's the second most used library per hour issues, and the council proposing to close it. It's caused a huge issue, not just amongst students, but other permanent residents as well. And if, as things stand, you know, if, that library could close in March. So working very hard out there, and obviously we've got residents parking schemes similar to what Javid's got in Crooks, in Shadow Vale area. So clearly the council there have been making huge profits from that scheme, and government have said, look, actually that you need to look at the amount of monies that are raised. So for example, when the Lib Dems were on the council, our residents parking permits was only £10. Labour have raised that £30 now, so huge differences there. But you know, elections you can never take for granted. I never have done. Every time I've stood, always said, look, you know, you've got to prepare for any circumstance. You know, something could happen at a local level that could hugely influence the voters. Also, something could happen at a national level that would be totally out of our control. But you know, that's the reality of politics. But I'm fighting hard. What I'm seeing is that people are beginning to see that actually the economy is turning. You know, we've seen the GDP figures now for the last 3 quarters on a positive. So the economy is healing. People are beginning to see those benefits. Times have been very difficult, but the issue for me is that everybody knows that the cuts were going to be made, whoever's in charge. The issue here locally is how you go about as a local council cutting. So is it fair that you're spending money, you know, on part-used buildings in Burngreave? £300,000 being allocated recently, and 1.2 million was previously allocated. Is that the most important thing? It seems like it for this council, but then it's closing libraries. You know, similarly, it's
talking about Vestry Hall, are we?
Yeah, we're talking about Vestry Hall, Sobe House, etc. You know, that they were supposed to be projects that, when they were funded by New Deal, would be self-sufficient.
I just want to ask you, I mean, so with Labour Party doing all these cuts, if Liberal Democrat came back into power locally, will you continue with these cuts, or what proposals have you got?
What we've got to do is each year when we get the budget, we have to see what the ruling group are proposing to do with it, and then we will offer our alternative. Yeah, at the moment, for the last 3 years, the Labour Party have been acting as if there would be going to be no cuts under Labour. Unfortunately for them, both Ed Bowles and Ed Miliband have said.
In addition to this, at the same time, I mean, we've got deputy prime minister from Sheffield. But it seems that Sheffield has been the most hard-hit area in terms of number of policing that have been cut down, and lots of other issues. Why do you think that Nick Clegg has never actually kind of tried to represent his own city?
What you've had is people using absolute numbers. So basically, you may earn £100,000, I may earn £10,000, and then you're complaining that that the same amount of tax rate, you know, I'm paying X amount. I've had this taken out of my salaries. So what people don't tell you is that they tell you how much Sheffield's had cut, but what they don't tell you is how much Sheffield's getting in the first place. And if you look at those percentage cuts, they're very, very similar in range. Yeah. And the other issue that people have been comparing is that some of these councils they're comparing with they have county councils. So these councils already get a very small budget anyway. So when you do a 3-4% cut to them, it's a very small absolute number. When you do a 3-4% cut with Sheffield,
well, I'm comparing it with Bristol actually. Bristol's actually getting more benefits and money.
But Sheffield has. If you're looking at Bristol, I mean, too much emphasis has been on council funding. What you've got to realise is we've had £1.2 billion of government money to fix every road in the city. You know, that dwarfs anything Bristol, any cut we're going to have. Similarly, you know,
well overdue actually. It's been road situation has been like that for the last 25 years.
Exactly, because of the World Student Games, every year we're paying, because of decisions made by the Labour councillors at the time, that we pay £24 million to the banks where we got money from without spending it on our services. So Don Valley Stadium, Javid raised earlier, that's him hard for closure, even though...
You think your government or your team could have saved that project?
No, what we're saying at the moment is there's a group, Save Our Stadium, Rob Creasy, have come forward and said, look, we need time. just a Stocksbridge leisure centre. They were earmarked for closure by the council. Group of people came together and said, look, we run this, we can run it cheaper. And actually they're now refurbishing it and ready to open. And Rob Creasy said similar, look, I don't want any money from the council. What I want is the council to just back off a bit, give us some time and actually run the stadium. So what we said is, look, if somebody wants to come and run this in a different way to what you've been doing, give these people some time. Unfortunately, council's just steamrolling and heading towards closure. So once Don Valley Stadium's gone, it's gone. So what we're saying is, if these people like Rob are coming forward, putting their time, energy in, they should be allowed to continue. The other thing they've done, the council has centralised decision making. So basically it's taken all the control, all the powers back into the town hall. When we ran the council, we had community assemblies, and actually the central community assembly, which me and Paul Scriven sat on, and sometimes we didn't even make decisions. We actually devolved them down to community members. So I remember once coming to the Quaker meeting house, and actually members of the community were there, and some projects, and people saying, so you have got no say in this at all today. I said, no, what's going to happen, it's like Dragon's Den. The project's going to come, present it, you're going to have tokens in clear jars, you put them in, and whichever project gets the highest, they'll get funding first, next one, until the money runs out. That was us handing power to individuals. And what's happened is the council, different thinking, a bit like what Javid said, they're less trusting of people, think they know all the answers at the town hall. I honestly used to say to people, sat in the town hall, I don't know absolutely what people at Stocksbridge want, High Green want, or Mosborough want, because they're all very different areas. Shouldn't it be the councillors in Mosborough, Stocksbridge, High Green, etc., the ones that make the decisions? And I just think we should go back to that. Even though there's less money, that doesn't stop local councillors making decisions. So what we've got now is some of the local councillors have all been given £5,000 or £6,000 to spend. That is peanuts compared to the budgets that this council has.
Just before I finish, I just want to take your view as opposition leader. A very large departmental store, IKEA, proposed to come to Sheffield, and it was a very hot topic at that point. It's all of a sudden seems to have disappeared.
No, it shouldn't disappear. I mean,
obviously Sheffield needs something like this to be able to generate something.
People need to understand.
I mean, even Sheffield Arena, Motorpoint Arena, is struggling as well. So, what is your take as a Liberal Democrat opposition leader on this?
I mean, it's a different take to what Julie and her colleagues have been doing. I would be out there saying to IKEA, I want you here, and saying to the Highways Agency, and saying to Sheffield Council's Highway Department, how can you make this door happen for Sheffield? What changes do we need to make? Because let's be honest, when a big development like IKEA comes, we can have to develop it to make some changes to roads.
And generating jobs at the same time.
And absolutely, 400 jobs will be generated, £1.2 million of business rates.
Has Leeds got any part to play in this?
No, well, Leeds have got IKEA nearby, and John Lewis are moving there. And so I think that, the council have already lost the case against Next. Next wanted to develop in this city. The council turned their application down. They went to appeal. The council spent £62,000 fighting Next, and Next have won. And that development will bring 120 jobs and about £600,000 in business near Meadowhall, near the Mercedes garages. And I just think if businesses want to come to this city, the council should say, you are welcome. We're going to work with you. We're not going to work against you. And that Next scenario was absolutely the negative message that was sent out. So I'm saying to the council, I've been saying it since day one, I am for IKEA, make this happen. Javid and me have been down to the site. Javid had a look at the site as well. Javid's for it as well. Every Liberal Democrat in this city wants IKEA to come to Sheffield. The only people who seem to be against it is those who are running the council at the moment, who seem to be very lukewarm. I am saying it publicly on record, I want IKEA. I live near there, I know the issues, for example, air quality. However, we can deal with those in terms of, as one resident said to me, Shaffaq, by turning down IKEA will not improve our air quality one bit. But actually, what it will do is give our young people opportunities, and in those areas right across this city. Because you remember, IKEA, where the location is, is connected by a Supertram.
Yes, it is.
It will give opportunities for taxi drivers. So those people that go by Supertram, buy something, will allow taxi drivers to apply for hire here at a time when they're struggling in the city centre, elsewhere for work. That could be a beautiful avenue. Because at the moment, if I want to shop at IKEA, I have to go to Leeds or I have to go to Nottingham. What I don't say is, well, I want to go to IKEA, there's no one in Sheffield, tell you what, I'll come to Sheffield Town Centre. No, I don't. I then travel. So why don't we, and I'll be honest with you, I think the other neighbouring councils in South Yorkshire are watching us. And if we turn our back on IKEA, they will open the doors for them. And they will benefit, because what's happened is
just like we lost the airport.
Yes, the government has changed criteria. In the past, the councils used to collect the business rates, give it to the government, and the government used to decide how to spend it.
Yeah.
Actually now, you get to keep half the business rates. So actually now there's consequences. If Sheffield turns its back on businesses, then they will miss out on money that they could keep. So by adding IKEA's business rates and City Care and the next business rates, which gives us 1.2 million and 600,000, that's 1.8 million pounds. That's more than what the library's cut is. So there's choices to be made here, and I'm just disappointed that the council has not been as enthusiastic as I am and the people of Sheffield about IKEA.
Shaffaq, finally, I'm going to come back to Javed for his final view, and I'll take your
Can
final.
I just make a couple of points here?
Yeah, Javed,
Right,
very
okay.
quickly. We're running out of
Yeah, I
time.
mean, this Bromley parking permit issue, under Lib Dem it was £10 a year. Since Labour took over, they've increased it up to, is it £30, yeah?
36.
Yeah, £36. So clearly that scheme was introduced to help the residents of the Broom Mill to reduce their difficulties. But clearly, when the Labour took the control, they took that scheme as to making a profit out of residents. That's one. And number two, down at Millhouses Park. I mean, I was a kid when I used to use Millhouses Park, and I still use it now as well. And other people do use that as well. Basically, Millhouses Park is a famous park and is used by the citywide. But since the Labour took over, they've introduced parking charges. So they used to be free, no parking charges before. But since they took the control, you go in there, you got to pay for it before you use the park. So people have been put off by that decision of the Labour Party. So clearly, you can tell that Labour are just there to make profit out of people.
Javed, final message to the public. How would you want them to help you out?
Right, well, basically, I just wanted to talk about this, the news that's in the community recent days about Hajj and Umrah flights from Manchester, that we've campaigned across the party, not just Lib Dems, the other parties as well, across the parties. We've signed the petition 2 years ago and forwarded those to the MP, and he took that up with the Saudi government, and hopefully they look at the petitions and they realise that yes, that there is a need of Saudi Airlines from the north of England for the Muslims to travel to London, for inconvenience and expense to reduce that. So it's a good news that our petition was very successful, and hopefully in next year March there will be 3 flights from Manchester Airport. That was the issue that I wanted to discuss. That.
I think can I just comment on that. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
there's what Javed did was working with a colleague of ours, Keith. They wrote to the MPs in Leeds and Lib Dem MPs and in Manchester to basically say, look, there's an issue for Sheffield. However, given you've got airports in your area, we want you to support it as well. And basically, although both them MPs wanted the flights in their own cities, so John Leach wanted it at Manchester, and Greg Mullan wanted it Leeds. I was pretty relaxed. I was saying, well, both these areas are nearby. Ultimately, in my opinion, we ought to have it at Doncaster. Yeah, but at the moment the road network's not great, and once the roads are improved around Doncaster Airport, not only will we be asking for Saudi flights, but also PIA flights and other people who want to actually go out there. I remember visiting Doncaster Airport when we were on the council, and I was acting up in Paul Scrimmer's absence as acting leader. I went to Doncaster. We had a meeting there with the other South Yorkshire leaders, and we took a little tour around the airport. And I remember speaking to the people who ran Doncaster then to say, look, there's a huge catchment here of South Asian people, particularly from Pakistan, but elsewhere as well, that you've got a superb runway here. The only problem is the access. But if you can start to run long-haul flights from here, it's going to be a winner, because people from Nottingham and Derby might come to us instead of going down elsewhere. So these are sort of things that, I'm not saying, that the Labour Party got any different policies. They've probably got similar policies to us. And I'm quite happy, whoever has campaigned, well done to anyone who's been involved. Like I say, I'm sure the MP in Leeds will continue to fight for Leeds and Bradford people to have the flights at Leeds and Bradford. Why not? I'll support him. I'll be honest with you, I'll support him in that. Because obviously people living in Leeds, it's close for them to go to Leeds Bradford Airport.
Either way,
but I think it's good news.
Beneficial for the community. Your final message for the general public for your campaign?
The final message is next year's elections are local elections, right? So you're not going to be changing the government. You'll be actually electing people to represent you. So you've got a choice. You either want myself and Javed to be your voices on the council, or you want the Labour Party. The Labour Party got 60 councils already, so you can add a few councils on their backbenchers. Won't make a difference. Or you can return me as a leader of the Lib Dems and Javed as a strong voice, because I know with Javed being there, we'll have much stronger links within. And sometimes, you need a critical voice in there. Having yet another Labour councillor Are they going to then take Julie Doe to task? I doubt it. But having Javed in Nether Edge, people will be able to go to Javed and say, look, the council isn't operating properly, we want you to take this up. And Javed will be no doubt forceful. I will support him, no doubt the other Lib Dem colleagues will. Javed's a local council, a local resident who's lived in that area for most of his life. His children go to local schools. He went to local schools. He is, he is part of that community. He goes to the local mosques. He shops locally. So in a sense, Javed is not being planted by the Lib Dems from elsewhere in the city. He is a local candidate, and I hope people will, shine to the hard work that Javed's already been doing.
Okay, thank you. And final words from yourself, Javed, in your campaign.
Right, okay, yes. As I said that, I have put myself forward to the community. I'm a local man. I've grown up in the area. I know the area outside and inside very well. And I hope that they can give me the support on next year May's election, and I'll be a service to them on their doorstep.
Thank you very much, folks. That was the leader of Liberal Democrat of Sheffield, an opposition leader from Liberal Democrat Party. Alongside with him was Javed Khan, a newly selected candidate from Nether Edge Party, Nether Edge Ward. This is me signing out. Say goodbye from ZEESHAN NAQVI.